Hello and welcome to Zero Cool Gaming and this week's game review. Today I'm going to be reviewing the game Darksiders. Now Darksiders is my favorite of the series. Ah, Darksiders. War is one of the four horsemen and he's been invoked before his time. Technically he isn't required to do his thing um, until the war between heaven and hell kicks off in earnest. But in a celestial wrong number incident, which results are worthy of a Roland, okay, I don't know who these people are, collaboration, he gets the call. The first level of Darksiders sees you tear through uh, heaven and hell's frontline troops with visceral abandon as the war explodes across a human cityscape. This sets the scene for the game at large, a third-person hack and slash like Devil May Cry. It borrows from these console titles and it's playing from a great host that is a cross-platform port. As a PC game, it has some obvious shortcomings which we'll come to, but their impact wanes when the action and story are done as well as they are. Um, War has unwittingly lent his might to the armies of hell. His duty was called before the Charred Council, which sits between the two factions. Um, he's sent back to Earth to restore the balance, and what follows is a blast of action gaming where you crash through some surprisingly large and complex environments to face the Destroyer, his uh, not quite the end boss. Um, okay, why did I like the first game? Well, the first game is a hack and slash like Devil May Cry. Even easier than Devil May Cry because the combat combos, if you want to call it that, are pretty basic. You've got abilities, they're also pretty basic. Um, it's a simple game, and I like that. I mean, especially for a game that you're in truth supposed to be enjoying the story of, and I enjoy the story of this very, very much. It's a cool story the way they put it together. Um, you meet several interesting characters in this game, which are demons. Because you're on Earth, you meet Volgrim. Uh, he fancies himself like a traitor, but I think he has his own goals and intentions, at heart. He is a demon. Um, you have Samael, which is another demon that actually kind of helps you, surprisingly. Um, then you meet Ulthane. He's a maker, and he helps you. And you meet a angel that's trapped, and even that angel helps you out. Um, you have the four guardians of basically Samael's power, because that's what you're doing when you're collecting the hearts. You're restoring his power because he was imprisoned. Um, the last of the four Well, at least the way I played it, it was the last of the four, and I think you have to play it that way. Um, is a spider, I believe. Spider's the last one. Yeah, spider's the last one. Um, and she kind of gives you some information about Samael and what you're actually doing, and it makes for an interesting twist. Demons turning on each other. Um, and of course you have this whole heaven and hell thing going on. Now, at the end of this game, you make it to the realm of Earth, and you go before this tree, and the tree gives you the gift of knowledge. Now, while I did not understand the cutscene truly, um, upon playing the second game, it made a whole lot more sense. One of the things that you learn from the tree when you're sitting there, and this is at the end of the game, um, is that a general of heaven, uh, council member of heaven, and a maker conspired together to break the seals, the seven seals that were, the peace treaty between heaven and hell. And during this conversation as to why they need to break the seals, the general brings up this corruption that's spreading through the council and through heaven's realms. And without context, that doesn't seem like a reason for to start a war. But when you add the second game to that context, which is the corruption that literally corrupts all that it comes in contact with, it changes them. You could say that it turns them evil, but it makes them more uh, selfish, prideful. Okay, evil. But this was spreading through all of the realms, and it was. A, I'm not gonna say it. Well, I guess you could consider that a very good reason, not necessarily to start the apocalypse, but to fear what's happening. Um, because yeah, if it was allowed to continue to happen, which it had obviously been going on for a long time, it was going to corrupt everything, essentially kill everything. But it wouldn't be killing them; it'd just be changing them. Um, and heaven blamed hell for this, and the makers believed that heaven was right to blame hell for this. And the makers also had this problem in their realm where this corruption was corrupting everything that it touched and was killing off their kind very quickly. Um, so it made more sense why they would be willing to break the seals to defeat hell if they truly believed that hell was responsible for this corruption. Um, and then, like I said in my second, my review of the second game, they did a really good job, like I'm explaining now, of connecting why heaven did this, but they never connected why Samael ended up in prison and why his powers were taken away from him. And I think that corruption could have been that answer, truly, had they just written that in better. Fan fiction here, people. But other than that, they did a really good job of connecting the first game with the second game with the way that they ended the first game by showing you how these people came together to, do this thing to save their realms, basically. Um, and then in the second game, the writing in the second game started out very, very well, and then about halfway through it just collapsed, and I don't know why. Um, like I said, it felt like they changed writers halfway through the game, and expected the new writers to be able to know how all of this stuff intertwined and how it was supposed to all connect to each other. And I don't know if that's what happened, but that's what it feels like when you're playing the second game. It's obvious that the writing changed about halfway through it. But back to the first game. Uh, Fulgrim's a cool character. Um, and you kind of get more of a feel for his nature. Excuse me. Um, in the first game, after actually playing the third game, because in the third game, he makes a promise to Fury to help War. But in the first game, when you play, Fulgrim makes it seem like everything he does for you is him going out of his way for you, doing you a favor. When in truth it's not. He's, fulfilling favors that he promised others. It's funny to watch. Replaying the first game after playing the third game, the interactions with Fulgrim are a lot more interesting, I guess, is a way of putting it, because of the way that they wrote him in the third game. Um, in the second game, I mean, uh, his writing in the second game wasn't all that good. I didn't like. He was a forgettable character in the second game. But in the first game, he was integral to the story and the gameplay. Even though he wasn't a part of it, he would inject himself into it whenever he could. He's like that third wheel that always wants to jump in. It was well done, though. I like the way that they portrayed him. I also like the way that Samael was portrayed. I mean, um, he is a demon, but he's surprisingly a demon with um, pride and some sense of honor. And it's cool that they maintain that moral fabric of his in that respect, because that's really what it is. Um, then you have War himself. War is not much of a character in the first game. He's a soldier. Um, he's a soldier that feels he's been wronged and he wants to correct that, or that he's been, lied about or set up or something. Um, so he sets out to correct that tarnished reputation of his, um, and that's a form of pride as well. Uh, one of the things that I liked about this story was that when he was, again, this happened right after the visit to the tree. When he goes back to tell them, what happened while he was there and explain it to them, he left very specific parts out of his vision. And it's because he realized that if he told the truth or everything, it would be used against him. Um, and for him, this wasn't the type of thinking that he was, soldiers don't try to think that way. And they certainly don't try to think that way about their own allies. But because of the situation that he's been put in, because of how he's been set up for this, he's had to learn, basically from the teachings of demons in that respect, how to view the world a little more cynically, and be a little less trusting in the goodwill of those around you. Um, well written though. I mean, it was presented in a way that made it fun. So that's what I like about this game is that it is just a fun game. If you want it to be difficult, crank up the difficulty. It can get punishingly hard. Um, but I play it because I enjoy the story, and I also enjoy the way that the items within this game benefit the character. Almost everything that you collect in this game will benefit the character in some way. Um, which gave me reason to go back through the game and try to find all the little secrets and all the little upgrade chests and stuff that's hidden throughout the game. And that's how I play this game. I play the game basically almost to the end of it, and then I go back through and I basically replay or go through all of the areas again to collect all the stuff that I couldn't get when I was going through them the first time. Um, the second game, I really didn't do that because of the loot box system that they put in there where you got random loot. So I felt no real wanting desire to go find the random stuff that I may want or may not want based on how the game wants to randomly give me stuff. So there was a lot of stuff in the second game that I know I missed and stuff that I didn't find. In the first game, there's only a couple of things that haven't quite figured out those puzzles yet. There's like two puzzles that I haven't figured out. I call them puzzles, but really it's just access to secrets. Um, and then the third game, I probably found 3/4 or more of the secrets in the third game because again they went back to the same type of level up system where everything that you collect in the game uh, is used in some way to help you level up your character. So anyway, that's my review of Darksiders the game. It's a really fun game. It's got a cool story, and even though I don't like the third game's storyline, there are parts within that story that, when applied to the previous games, make that story more interesting. So, um, it's a good series, even though I'll probably never play the fourth one. Um, I did enjoy the first game the most, and like I said, it's because of the storyline. Well, that's my review of Darksiders, and I hope that you enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.